Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Cooler Heads. I think Bill's on sabbatical. What's he doing this week, Adam?
He is at his parents' house, I believe.
They live outside of where he lives.
They live north. I believe they live in the northern woods, in the backwoods of Michigan.
Okay, that explains the beard.
Yeah.
So, what have you been going? What have you been doing?
Working, always plugging away at stuff. I feel like I have too much stuff going on and I
Hmm.
do really good at certain things and I let everything else just kind of fall to the wayside. And
What do
then
you
I just rotate, you know what I mean? And then I start doing something else really good and let everything else slouch.
What are you talking about particularly?
Uh, let's see. Well, I don't know. Everything. Work, I'm working, I'm focusing on work, I'm getting out estimates, I'm doing this and that. I'm writing for HVAC school. I
Hmm.
am one thing I'd like to do a little bit more of is prepare because I've been doing their live streams, uh, every Wednesday, and a lot of that responsibility for creating the slides and the content and everything is kind of falling on Matt. And
Okay,
yeah, so I need to get on that a little bit.
I caught the other one. I caught the other one the other night. That was actually the first time I watched. I've been super busy with what I've been doing, and I just it was interesting. You guys are actually, talking about a lot of cool different stuff. So, I mean, I know you've been writing articles. Tell me a little bit about that because like you and I haven't like talk. Everyone's been like stupid busy here lately.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. What do you want to know? I just like randomly, like I had a writer's block for a while.
Hmm.
So I just couldn't think of anything that I wanted to talk about. And then randomly, like two things popped in my head and was like, boom, boom, nailed them out really quickly.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I guess I just need to I need motivation to write. Motivation for something to write about. I don't know.
Well, I mean, is it motivation or just finding something in particular that you want to talk about?
Yeah, probably more so finding something that I wanna talk about, but it's like, I mean, there's a million things that you can talk about, but, like, what are you passionate about? You know?
Yeah.
What interests me enough to make me sit in front of a computer and bang it out? So, yeah.
Hmm.
What about you? You're building that, training center. You've been working on that for quite a while now.
Yeah. So between everything, just things just keep happening. So I was, in between building the training center. I'm having a kid coming up to finish like pulling the vacuums and finish brazing everything up in. Everything's all brazed except for the branch box or whatever. And between that, I was that CO2 trainer that I purchased. It was supposed to come down to the States and it didn't because they had some things that they were going on. And so first class that I'm putting on is on in February 5th, for advanced transcritical CO2. And they couldn't get the two guys that engineered, built it, and started it up down here to the States on time. So, the guy called me. He's like, "So do you have a passport?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He's like, "Have you ever been to Canada?" I said, "No, I have not." He's like, "Do you want to?" So yeah, so last week that's where I was at. Everyone kept telling me it's been a mild winter. It's been a mild winter, and lo and behold, I get up there not even Tuesday, and the second night staying over, they got 10 inches of snow in that area, up in Montreal, Quebec. Everyone was super nice. I just I've never eaten so much food in my life. Like I've been really good lately because I gained a crap ton of weight. With just being in the office now and being at home and traveling a lot. And long story short, I gained a lot of weight back. I was up to 255, and so I was really really good for a while. Getting back down to weight, and I usually just eat usually intermittent fasting. I usually just eat once a day, and these guys eat every meal. And it's not just hey, we're gonna have something quick. Like everything is a complete
Meal.
feast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like by the end of the night, I like normally like I'll stay up at night and do a whole bunch of writings and stuff because I'm working on some other stuff as well for myself personally. I'm also writing some curriculum for a website that should be coming out this year. So like every night I'll work on it 3-4 hours, just hammering away. Right now I'm in the editing process where like I have all the pictures I need, I have all the writings, but now I have to go through all almost 200 slides and just run through Grammarly because I don't do English that well as far as my grammar and that. So Grammarly is really awesome. Sometimes it'll show you different ways to write it. So I don't sound like a complete idiot.
Like, what do you struggle with writing? Like, what's the hardest part for you?
Just grammar and spelling. I spell phonetically. I struggle with that immensely. Like just trying to, figure out, how to say things. Like you have it in your head, how to, you know what you want to say, but then putting it down on paper. I also have dysgraphia. So like, when I write things, it sometimes doesn't come out the way that I intend it to. So like I said, I run it through Grammarly and it'll figure, I'll go through all the punctuation first because that's real quick, just add a period, add a comma, add a period, add a comma. And then I'll go through, it'll look for, hey, this is kind of confusing. Maybe we should rewrite it to clarify it this way, and so that's what I've been doing. I took the document and like usually Grammarly will take a PDF. I'm sorry, a PowerPoint, but it won't take a PowerPoint. So I had to extract all the text out of the document, put it into a Word document. And after I put it into a Word document, basically I had to then put it in modules because it was too much information for it to, basically compile and do all at once because it was lagging really bad. So I had to break it down into like 8 or 10 modules where like, hey, I'm going to do this module this day. Because otherwise for me, like doing grammar becomes increasingly just frustrating.
Yeah.
Just trying to get all that stuff done. So
yeah, I've been writing quite a bit more lately, but like one thing that has I'm working on a project for ESCO and Eugene, Eugene, right? Silverstein.
yes.
Brilliant dude. But like I'll submit something and he'll come back with like 100 edits. And it's like, so I'm like, and then I'm like, damn, he hated it. But then I go through it and he's like, oh, it made so much sense what he's saying. I should have done that. I should have known that. Why didn't I do it?
Is it the form that you're doing it, or is it like what? Like
sometimes it's grammar. Sometimes it's like the words I'm using to describe. Like he'll find a word that just makes everything more clear. But I question like if I have some type of learning disability or something. I don't know if it's a learning disability or whatnot, but like when I write, a lot of times I notice like I flip words. Like there's 2 words that should be the opposite, like one should be before the other, and that happens nonstop. I'm always flipping words. And other times, like when I'm writing something, a lot of times I'll say the same word twice. It's like my brain pauses and then I start back up again, and it's like really weird. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Have you ever used Grammarly at all?
I do use Grammarly. Yeah.
Okay.
But like Grammarly is awesome, but like I still catch a bunch of stuff that it doesn't catch. You know what I mean? Just like rereading it over again. And sometimes I have to read it like 3, 4, 5 times and I still am catching things,
And that's the thing. Like I don't know how long you've been making like technical documentation, but like the more time you take staring at it, the more things you miss. Because you're like, you get tired of you probably, especially like, just think about your job, right? You like going to different places all the time, right? So, when you're forced to stare at the same document day in and day out trying to make sure, and you're probably a perfectionist as well. You're staring at the same thing all day long, and then there's so much shit that you're missing because you're like, I really don't want to look at this anymore. So there are times
you want it to be over, right?
Yeah, I want this done. I want it out. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll share it with people. I'll share it with and they're like, oh, this looks great, because whatever. And I'm just like, then I start going through the grammar. I'm like, oh my God, I sound like an idiot. But like I said, like staring at the shit all the time, nonstop, your brain's like, I'm kind of done with this. So there are times where I'm like, I planned on getting this done this week, and then I'm like, I need a break. I need not to look at it and not to do shit with it for at least a week.
Do you ever struggle with so I always have there's 10 things that I have in my back burner at all times. You know what I mean? Like if I'm not working on this, I should be working on this, right? But there's certain items on my to-do list where it's really difficult for once I get started, it's easy for me to flow, but it's a hurdle to get to the point where okay, I'm focusing and I'm doing this right now. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. It's not everything on my list, but certain items, it's just I psych myself out. It kills me,
I have a hard time with completion. Case in point, I have probably, I don't know, 10 different presentations that I'm doing. And so my problem is I'll be, when I'm looking for stuff for what I'm doing, I'm looking for documentation. And if anything has anything in common with some of the other documents that I have, I will start the day off with one document, looking for information for that one document. As I'm looking for stuff, all of a sudden I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And I'm like, that would do really, really well for this. So then I have to open up that document and then find the place where that was at and then throw that in. And then by the end of the day, I've done that so much where I got 9-10 documents open because throughout the day of doing research for something that I was writing, I now have just scatterbrained. And then it comes to the point where unless I have a deadline for something, I'm like, I'm working on this and I'm tired of looking at it. I could push it off and it's like, hey, I have to have this done by the 4th. And then I got to hyper focus on that one thing. Have
you ever been tested for ADHD?
Yeah. So I went to the doctor when it's always been manageable for me, right? Because our job as technicians and in general, that's what we do. We hyper focus on a problem, right? And try to analytically figure out the solution. Problem is when I started getting into being in charge of training and looking around and making sure everything was running right, I have an ongoing list. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that in my group that I help make decisions for, and so I had this I started with Post-it notes, and then my computer looked like a serial killer. And then I started doing, I have this program called Sticky Notes, which is on Windows. So it opens up every single time I open up I have 4 different computers. I have my desktop, my editing computer, my program computer, and then my personal little, little tablet thing. And so every time I open it up, I'm able to add stuff on it. And then I don't have to worry about one generalized location for it because it is generalized at that point. And it would come to the point when I decided that I had to do something about the ADHD, where I had to get medicated because I would stare at the computer for an hour and a half, and it was almost debilitating because I'm like, I don't know what I need to do. I don't know where I need to start. I have so much. It would be so overwhelming where I would just sit there drinking a fucking Red Bull and just I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. It was just hard for me. So I finally went to an ADHD doctor, and he said to me, he's like, you got to remember, ADHD is not really a disease. It's really good. You have a Ferrari brain, but the problem is with ADHD, you have bicycle brakes where you're just going 300 miles an hour and you're just like, I can't stop.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was diagnosed with that. I do know that I didn't know what it was growing up. I just thought everyone just thought I had really shitty, sloppy handwriting. And my daughter was struggling in school, and there's a thing called dysgraphia. Dyslexia is where you switch stuff, which, it sounds like, you also have, But dysgraphia, like my handwriting looks like garbage, and essentially it's not being able to match what your brain is seeing down on paper. And I think that's another reason why, like, I have really poor comprehension. I've talked about this before. When I read stuff, I have to use an index card because otherwise there's so many other distractions on the page, pictures, other words where I have to just go line by line. And I don't know if I've told this joke before, but like, because of that, I have to, I try to give people examples on things. So if I'm reading my kids a story about Dick and Jane riding an elephant and going to eat lunch, if I didn't use the index card, somehow I've screwed up that story. And now Dick and Jane are eating the elephant. Now my kids can't go to sleep. So, like I have to, focus on that one line at a time. And that's helped, my oldest daughter, try to focus on one thing at a time. Otherwise, you become overwhelmed, and then it becomes debilitating where you can't get anything physically done.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I have the same thing with at work, or when I'm trying to do something and my phone keeps going off, or somebody's talking to you or whatever else. You're just like, everyone shut up, leave me alone. I need to focus for 2 minutes. You know what I mean? It's hard. Right now, I have a lot of anxiety. I'm doing a presentation with David Richardson from NCI.
Yeah, it was on LinkedIn and everything.
One thing I struggle with is sometimes, like, all right, so I'm not nervous about what I need to say or what I need to talk about because I know the topic. You know what I mean? Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, this is something that I've established. I put a lot of time into. I've learned it. I know it. I did it. Right.
Yeah.
I have sometimes like I have what I need to say in my head, but then sometimes like it doesn't translate well to my mouth, and like I don't know why. You know, like I can't get what I need to say out. And I've been trying to practice a little bit, not necessarily about the presentation, a little bit about the presentation, and it's kind of weird, but yeah, I don't know. That's kind of an anxiety thing, I guess. I don't know, you know.
What have you ever, I mean, besides this thing, have you ever done, some sort of public speaking, whether it be training like a small class or whatever?
I had public speaking in high school or whatever, like
No, like real life.
not real life. No. I mean, I've been in front of crowds and I've spoken on stage. I used to play in a band, and we played to, at most maybe a couple thousand people at a time. So it's like I'm not a stranger for being in front, to being in front of a large crowd or audience.
Well, I think that's a little bit different though, right? I mean, because you were a guitarist, right?
Bass, yeah, bass
Yeah,
guitar.
you were playing an instrument. So I mean, so when you're playing, because like I'm the worst at Rock Band. I can't even like my brain's telling my fingers to do. I can't. But like when you're doing that, aren't you so focused on playing that you really like the crowd isn't really a forethought?
Well, I mean, it's been a while since I've done it, but like we were almost, I would say, semi professional. Well, we didn't really make a ton of money at it, but like we had a CD on a record label, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I would say that like it's like it's like you're talking through the music. It's different. It is for sure different, but like I'm not necessarily focusing on what I'm playing. I'm focusing on the experience that I'm in. And to give an example, what we used to do was we used to practice so often. It would be like 3 to 4 times a week, maybe 4 hours a day would be band practice. That's what it took to get to the level we were at, right? And then we got to the point where it started becoming boring practicing. So what was the next level? Well, we started practicing in the dark in a room with all the lights off. So you could basically like learn your instrument at a different level, a different capacity, you know? So like I wasn't when I'm on stage, I'm not focusing like, okay, I gotta hit the next note right. Like I knew I had an intimate relationship, if you will, with the bass guitar because I've done it so much. I practice so much. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I am instead of using music to express myself, I'm using my voice, which is really different. So
And it can be anxiety driven. I mean, I've I was actually, so when I went up to Canada, the guy that set all everything up, his name is Andre Potnode, who is known everywhere for knowing his shit with CO2. He's basically in charge of all the a lot of the product development for Copeland, Emerson, CPC, whatever you want to call it. And he said to me in passing, he's like, I read the article that you wrote, and it was really good. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, he didn't even say that. He said, I read your article, and then like that's all he said. And I'm like, where he's sitting talking about something else, and I can't even focus on what he's saying because I'm like, well, he didn't finish that thought. Was it bad? Like we talked for about 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, all right, well, since you brought it up, I said, how was the article? He's like, oh no, it was good. I was like, oh, okay. Because like normally if you say like someone says to you, oh, I read that, I'm like, and
it's an anxiety thing. And I think that's like human nature, that you want to feel accepted. You want people to acknowledge what you're doing is good, right? Like I don't know. I definitely have that. I have like an imposter syndrome type deal going on. Which that's something completely different. And my wife thinks I'm nuts because she's like, you have the biggest ego in the world. You always talk about how good you are at HVAC and everything else. And now you're scared to talk in front of people. How could that possibly be? And I'm like, well, this is, I first off, I don't think I'm the best and my shit don't stink. Right. But like, this is, I don't know. I just look at like, this is another level. I was playing freaking high school basketball, and suddenly I got drafted to the 1995 Chicago Bulls, playing next to Jordan. Right, that's my. It's AHR. It's a big deal, and I know it's not. I'm talking in front of the entire crowd at AHR, but it's just like a mental thing. It's a different level. I don't know.
No, I fully understand, and it's it's different even just doing this. You know what I mean? Like this is way different because like right now it just yes, there's comments going on, but I mean it's just you and I talking at this point, right? I mean that's all what it seems. But when you're talking in front of people, plus you want to make sure that you said something right, because I know from doing interviews with articles, like when someone's listening to what you're talking to, I kind of want to see what they're saying, because I've found in articles that I've written, and I geeked out. So I wrote this article on CO2. Well, I'm sorry, it was an interview on the guy interviewing me about CO2. It was in ACR News, and I read the article and I freaked out because I switched 2 words around. Being dyslexic, I switched 2 words around, and I didn't think I did that here, but apparently I did when I was talking. And so I instantly went home and opened up the magazine. I'm rifling through and I'm like, wait, it's not here. I was like, all right, it's just an online document. All right. So I emailed them like on the weekends, like 3 times, like, hey, just letting you know, just making sure you got my email. Hey, I switched these 2 words around. Hey, can you fix it? Because like I'm freaking out thinking that this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And it was just, and like you said, with the imposter syndrome, feeling like you don't deserve the accolades that you're getting. Right. I totally, I can relate with that so much. I tried to be humble my whole career. I just tried to do well. I think it comes back to no affirmation as a child, not being, hey, this was really good, Brett. I didn't get that. So, my fictitious parents now are my employer who I work for,
Yeah, friendly neighborhood maintenance guy was asking if Much the Same was the band. It's one of the bands. I was one of the founding members of Much the Same back when it was called Don't Look Down. And then the other band was First Class. So whatever that's worth. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine. No, I actually, while you were talking about the band, you've played one little segment on the Overtime Show once before, and I was just I was asking if anyone knew the name of the band so I could look it up later. Wiki.
I was actually in more bands than that, but like those were probably the 2 most popular that I was in. So yeah, anyway. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's tough. And it's funny. Brian Orr
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, he asked me, he's like, "So I have like a scheduling conflict type deal for AHR, and I was wondering, do you think I have a podcast set up with Copeland?" Um, I think it was Copeland that he said, but he's like,
Mhm.
do you think you can cover for me and go do the podcast with Copeland?" I'm like, and I like busted out laughing, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Man, talk about the all-time disappointment." I'm like, "They signed up the great Brian Orr for the podcast, and then I come walking up." So, yeah.
So are you gonna do it?
I mean, I'll do it. I don't know how happy they're gonna be with it. That's cool. He was talking about maybe getting, Nathan to come over as well too, and we'll do it together. So,
Just tell him to keep his shirt on.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he will with Copeland, but yeah. Do you even know what they want to talk about? Or they?
I have no clue. Yeah. So, I'm gonna dive in a little bit, um,
Yeah.
ask Brian, but I don't
Hey,
know. I mean, the thing is, like, what are they gonna talk about with Brian? Like, what's the deal? You know, like, I'm not gonna try to be Brian and, cater the conversation towards that, but, like, maybe I'll redirect and what am I doing in the HVAC industry? You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about me a little bit because 'cause I'm not Brian Orr. That's what I'll do. Be a
well,
little selfish for me.
predominantly, what have you been working on lately?
An ESCO project, writing for HVAC School, the HVAC School live stream.
Mhm.
Overtime, I did an NCI article for their magazine. I just sent over an article for Measure Quick, so a lot of writing. Yeah,
Damn.
yep.
Damn. Nah, so you've been a busy dude, man. How's everything else? I mean, like as far as the business, still chugging along busy?
I'm like kind of checked out at this point. You know, I'm still doing the work that I should be doing, but like as new stuff comes in, like I don't know. Last Friday, I had somebody come in and they had a boiler. And it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They had a boiler that was, emitting carbon monoxide into the living space. And,
Okay.
they had another company come out, and normally I would jump on that and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna work all night and we're gonna clean that boiler, we're gonna replace it or do whatever." And, I work with my dad, and I told my dad, he's like, "What do you wanna do with this?" I'm like, I need to write this weekend. Like, I really can't deal with this right now. Like,
Mhm.
it's not the right time. Like, it's 4 o'clock on a Friday. I have the overtime show to do, and I have all weekend to work, Like, I don't really wanna do it, and, that was that. So stuff like that has happened, but, like, during the day, for the most part, I'm staying on track, but yeah, I have new things coming on the horizon, um, we'll see how it all shakes out, I guess, right?
You talk about it now or no? You gotta wait.
I think I should probably wait,
It's
but
fine.
soon. Yeah.
No, it's it's crazy because like I I mean you see humble as well, and it's when things happen like this, like you get in, you get invited to do this, you get invited to do this, and it seems all to happen at once. You know what I mean? And I've found that it's kind of overwhelming at times, where you're like, especially with the imposter syndrome, right? Where you don't think you really deserve all these accolades and all these people wanting you to do things for them. Um, it can be difficult. You don't know how to, if you've never had that before. You've had with being on a record label and stuff like that. But like, I I've never had any of this shit ever. So like having all this stuff happen at once, I'm just like almost to the point where sometimes I feel like breaking down, where it's too much. It's like there's just so much stuff going on that I can't keep going, if that makes sense.
Well, you're like, if you're anything like me, you're struggling to maintain the level that you're producing, and you're struggling to like, you're trying to prove to, like, I don't know if prove is the right word, but you're trying to prove to everyone that you are who everyone thinks you are. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
You need to maintain what you're doing at all times. and that's freaking difficult. It's hard to do, right?
It's running at a level, level 11 excuse me, all the time, where you're
Yeah.
just that you're like you said, maintaining at that high level, and then at points there's crashes, and that's why there are times where I just don't want to talk to anyone. Like not like and I've suffered I've tried not to make my kids suffer with that, because like, you know, day in and day out I used to just be by myself, right? So when I was at home, I want to talk to everyone. You know what I mean? Even though people were calling me or whatever, but now like meetings and all this other stuff, and you know, having to do this and having to do this, like by the end of the day, you are mentally just fried. Your social battery, so to speak, is just worn the hell out, where you're just like, I don't want to people anymore. I don't, you know, not to be rude. Like I called you last night. I was like, yeah. He's like, you were in bed? No, I just didn't want to talk to anyone.
I mean, there's times where on a weekend will come by and I have like grand plans to do things and to work and do this and that, but like I'm the same way where your battery is just dead, right? And I end up like sitting there laying in my bed and just like freaking vegging out and being like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to freaking chill. Um, and you know, my wife always says like she looks for she wants something that she could enjoy doing. And she's like, you love HVAC, right? That's your thing. And it's like, do I? I mean, I do. I know I enjoy what I do, but I started thinking about it, and with the stream the other night with Ty and Craig Migliaccio,
Hmm.
we talked about community and what HVAC is and the HVAC community that we're all like a part of right now.
Hmm.
And I kind of think that one of the reasons why it's so important to me is because, like, I think I've always struggled to be a part of something and to fit in a certain way, and I feel like I belong. Like, I have my place in the community that we have. If it's online, if it's nationwide, if it's whatever else, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have that with my neighbors. I don't have that with friends of mine. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I always feel like I'm a little bit different. Like, I'm awkward. I shouldn't, you know, like I'm at a neighborhood party and it's like, these people are probably judging me. I'm the freaking one blue collar guy. They all have really nice houses and cars, and I'm the guy with dirt under his fingernails, blah, blah, blah. We don't relate to each other. Like, it's small talk. It's weird. But then, like, with this, like I could sit down and we could talk to anyone. You know, HVAC. It's like we're all dealing with the same thing. We all are part of the same wheel that's spinning on a daily basis, right?
Well, you also know inevitably where that conversation is going to go. Well, I mean, one time, like last week, my refrigerator broke, and it took the guy like 5 times to come back, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or like, but there's also some times where, you know, you know, I've never, I don't know, people invite me to go places, and they're like, well, you're too good for that. I was like, no, I don't people well, which sounds really funny. But like, you know, I'll go up there, and then all anyone ever wants to do is just talk refrigeration with me. I'm just like, I don't like sports, but can we talk about something else? Can we, you know, like something else? You know what I mean? Because like you deal with this in and out, and like sometimes I need a break. Like, you know, it's nice. I have this one neighbor, and I've been trying to plan to do something, you know, go disc golfing with him. And, you know, when I talk with him, like we have intelligent, like he has a business. I kind of have a business, you know, and we, you know, we just talk about like business aspects. It isn't just talking about refrigeration or HVAC, but like, you know, because he's, you know, I don't know, I guess I don't like influencer, but I guess I'll consider myself an entrepreneur, right? I mean, because I have, you know, hands in different things. Like I actually, you know, I have a job, you know, but you know, I have the SME writings that I do, and then I have the podcasts that I do, and the video making, and you know, the memes and stuff like that. And like, I just enjoy just, you know, basically talking about stuff, like just, you know, just other things besides. I have a question, because this recently just came up in my family. Like, does your does your wife ever feel like, you know, what you do, you know, they're kind of, I don't know if jealous is the word, but they're like, well, you have this and I don't really have something like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, all the time. That's like a nonstop conversation that we have. You know what I mean? For
You
sure.
know, and I've tried to explain on multiple occasions that the only reason why I do this is one, because I like it, right? I would have a hard time working as hard as I do on all the things that I do if I didn't like it. So that's that right there. But I do this to provide. Like I'm not, like she complained, she was complaining, and I'm going to use that, just that term, that I was up in Montreal just having fun.
Yeah. Oh, I
No.
had that, last year. Oh, actually, multiple times. I was traveling, going through training and different certifications and that. And she's like, "How many vacations have you been on this year?" And I was like, none. And well, you were just in Florida. I'm like, yeah, at a training symposium. Like, we're we're going to classes. This is learning, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun, but like I said, it's fun for me because of the whole community aspect. And it's,
Well, getting to learn from different people in the industry, right? I mean, like getting to talk and look at their aspects on everything. Yeah, well, and then she had brought up, she's like, well, I know I don't ever get to go anywhere, and you travel, and you're up in Montreal having fun, and then you're going to be down in you got AHR in 2 weeks, and I'm like, I get paid for those things. Like it leads, going to these things, and that's, it leads into other things, right? So, meeting, so and so, led to this, and like, and some friendships have gathered from it. Actually, I can talk about this because I know the cat will be all right with it. So I met Dirk out in Vegas, and actually, it's really funny. The first time I met Dirk, he goes, "Yeah, you're Brett Wetzel, right?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Brian Orr told me to talk to you." And then he starts in with the HVAC and recovery. And while he's talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, Brian sent him over here to give me some sort of intervention. I was like, what the hell is going on right now? And, and that was when he came on Cooler Heads or whatever. But, like just having that friendship with him, there was a guy that I know that was having some substance abuse issues. And he called me, and because he had Dirk's number, and we all like a three-way call like the whole weekend, and Dirk paid for the dude's hotel. We made sure he was taken care of. Dirk reached out to his employer. Like, I mean, just that kind of relationship, like knowing that dude will give you the shirt off his back for nothing, like doesn't expect anything, because if anyone's ever tried to help someone that has any kind of addiction issues, it doesn't always work out. You know what I mean? Like I've given vacation away to people that had issues, and because they were more freaked out at the fact that, well, I can't go to recovery right now, because if I don't go to recovery, if I go to recovery, I'm not going to be able to work. All right, well, here's 2-3 weeks of vacation. Shut up, Jen. She's making fun of the fact that I said we three-wayed.
Mhm.
Child. But no, like, so I gave the vacation away, and it didn't work out. He ended up, relapsing or whatever, and got worse than what he was. But you know what? At least I know that I tried, right? And that's all we can ask. But like back to what I was saying, like, the some of the relationships that you build, being in this community, it ends up not just being, business, but like turning into personal, because a lot of these people have been there, where like they know, like, they've been in a bad spot and they know how that feels. And that's one of the reasons I think that I'm so passionate about training, right? I've told the story a billion times, where the first guy I worked for told me I was a piece of shit. And I never wanted to feel like that, nor that I never wanted to make another human being feel like that. So I know what you mean about the community, but like I said, it's frustrating when your significant other is thinking that you're doing all these things just for fun, when like by the end of the day, and you know, it's not just the peopling, but all the stuff you learn. By the end of the day, you're smoked. Like there's a couple times when I was down at the symposium, I didn't go out for dinner. I couldn't. I couldn't people anymore. I was so brain drained from the communication and all the stuff that you were learning that I couldn't go on anymore. I needed to rest before the next day.
So one thing you said a little while ago, which it made me start thinking, is when you interact with other random people, right, that are not HVAC related, and they want to talk about like their refrigerator or whatever else, it made me start thinking I'm the same way. And I almost think in a way that I don't mind talking HVAC all day long with HVAC people, right? It's like, hey, I love this. You're part of my community or whatever else. But like when like my father-in-law or something else starts asking me questions or this or that, it's like I'm almost like, I know it sounds rude or whatever, but it's like, you're not a part of this. You know what I mean? Like this is like my thing. And I don't really want to share it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what it is. And I know that sounds like rude and self-centered or whatever else, but it is what it is. It's like, yeah, I don't care to talk about it with you. I don't know what it is.
Well, I mean, I think part of that is like if it's someone that you think that might think that they're better from you because they came from better stock, they came from better family. It's like, I think maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, my mother-in-law finally realized I don't work on refrigerators. You know what I mean? Like that was the outlook. Like, oh, he works on refrigerators. I'm like, yep, yeah, I do. Big ones, but yes, yeah. Like they have, I don't think they had really any concept of really what I did. So now that I'm like doing more, office type stuff and like, kind of like in the role of basically running a whole training department. I just find that now that it seems like they respect me a little bit more.
Right.
You want to join in the conversation?
He's bored.
Yeah, I know he is.
Watching TV, playing on his iPad. What?
Yeah. Why don't you go relax for a couple more minutes and then I'll call Jimmy. Okay?
Uh,
Hey, stop. Everyone can hear you. You're talking to everyone right now. You won't even get on my work meetings, and you're talking to lots and lots of people right now.
Mhm.
He just realized. We're gonna have fun today. You need to relax. Okay?
I know.
Okay, go.
I want to hug you.
Oh, give me a hug then.
I sit a nap.
We were he was with what the heck were we doing? Oh, I was talking Matt, my oldest was saying how like I asked her if she cleaned her room, and all of a sudden, she's like, "Yeah, Dad, I finished it." And then he turns around, "What did you say to Maddie? Maddie, you what?"
You sit on a throne of lies.
Yep. Go right there. All right.
That's a good one.
You miss me? Yeah, we have an action-packed day. We go to the zoo, right? And we're going to the Natural Museum, and then Freon, he's 7. He just turned 7, and then we're going to where else are we going? Stop. Where else are we going?
Yes, sir.
Well, we're going to NASA tomorrow, right? After a 3-hour hike, and then we get to stay in a rocket ship.
We get to sleep in one.
We get to sleep in the rocket ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you excited about that?
Yeah.
Curious to see. You should definitely take pictures because, like, where would you sleep in a rocket ship? Like, how does that work?
Well, hopefully we put you in the trunk of the rocket ship, right?
No.
Why?
What?
You don't want to sleep in the trunk?
I'm not going to sleep inside the trunk. That's where all the engine thingies are.
That's where all the engine thingies are? Daddy's going to be looking at all the engine thingies while you're running around with your friends. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be nerding out.
You know what I've starting to be, started to think about recently is like, all right, so when they're on the space station and all that, like, how does the whole oxygen thing work? How does there's CO2 scrubbers. There's how are they heating it? Like what is the HVAC systems on a rocket ship or a space
Well,
station?
you know, if you really want to know, so like when I saw, give me that child. When I went to AHR, I was at a bar and I saw Will Speed, and he actually came from Area 51, an Area 51 ASHRAE meeting where they were talking about like getting ready for like colonizing Mars. Like that was the conversations that they were legitimately having. So if you really want to go, if on Facebook somewhere there's an ASHRAE Area 51 meeting page where they're talking about all the stuff that they're doing, like well, because it's don't do it. I'll break your face. Stop. You're being rude now. You're being rude. Okay. So like, they're dealing with, what did someone say? Ammonia boilers. Well, how would that work? Oh my God. But no, Will said that they were talking about a whole bunch of different stuff for like colonizing Mars, because obviously there's restrictions with NEMA stuff, right? Because you can't have anything sparkable, right? Because it's super cold. I don't know, space would be cold, so I don't know how you would pull heat from somewhere from outside in order to heat. I don't know. See, I hate when we have conversations like this, because then I'm going to go through a Google funnel for probably about 2 or 3 hours trying to figure out now how they heat the shit.
It seems complicated, but it would be pretty cool to, learn what they do and how it works. I don't know.
Everyone on the internet can see you right now, right? I'm not even joking. Literally. See where it says live up there? Yeah. Everyone can see you.
I'm not following that one.
It's not a joke. Usually when I record, we just record, but no, this is live right now, Bubba. Yes. So I know we said we were going to talk about family stuff, man. We've been meaning to catch up on everything you've been doing, and and some of the things that you're stressing with, like dealing with trying to figure out, because I've told you now multiple times that I want you to go through the presentation with me, because you keep saying that you're scared about it, but I told you, just call me and we'll rifle through it, because then you can, doing that kind of stuff, it's knowing the information as well. Like I just go off the cuff, because I'd rather, like, formulas and stuff, I understand you're not going to do that, but like, going through some of the more standard information and, being able to, translate it out, and then, being able to.
What? What's wrong?
I can't multitask with you hanging on me, Bubba.
I want to sit on your lap.
And you can sit on my lap.
Mm-hmm.
And be dead now.
Yeah. So it's, it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't think I can, because it becomes boring if you try to just read everything on a presentation. So like a lot of times I'll just take the book and then, get the key points and then just add perspective on some of the keynotes that you're trying to convey. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Kind of have like an outline, a game plan of what you want to talk about, and then just like go through.
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, if you get up there, because I've been bored to death with that, where like someone will actually, write down a whole bunch of stuff,
and they'll read the screen. They'll like go through and read what's on the screen, right? Yeah.
This is what I deal with. The other night he was doing this. We were laying together and he just kept doing this. And I was like, that's it. Enough. It's bedtime. I'm going to turn around. And so I'm staring at the wall away from him because he just kept laughing at me. And from the side here, he knows that I'm mad and goes over and goes, hello. And I lost it. And I was mad and I was trying to be stern. And then he does that and I lose my shit. I start laughing and I'm like, yeah, his first grade teacher said he's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, super smart, is way ahead of everybody in the class. But I'm afraid to call on him because I don't know what he's going to say. Why do you try to be so funny? What was the turkey joke that you told the other day? Go ahead. I'll give you this. You can tell your joke. What's the turkey joke? What's the turkey's favorite song? Or I'm sorry, worst song.
What's a turkey's least favorite song?
What is it?
I Believe I Can Fly because turkeys can't not fly.
Oh God. Well, on that turkey note, I think we're gonna cut it. Because someone's he's not gonna let me keep going. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
Cool.